I got out to Washington, D.C. late last September, flying into Dulles Airport aboard a United Express flight that will soon be featured on the channel. But Dulles was a really big attraction for me on this trip. I'd watched the 70s airport disaster films countless times in my youth, so getting to tread where George Kennedy and Charlton Heston overacted their way into infamy was a real treat. Along with getting to ride the Planemate shuttles that aren't nearly as fast as the Underground People Mover. Yeah, that part of air travel where you spend too much time getting out of the terminal after arriving, sometimes getting turned around and going to the wrong corner of the airport, that was the highlight of the trip for me. But not only was the tremendous time capsule value of the brutalist Dulles infrastructure of note, the recently established WMATA Silver Line Metro Rail service to the airport is a lengthy ride that I wanted to try out. To get to the Silver Line station, one needs to traverse the arrivals level of Dulles, following signage for ground transportation and then the metro station. The final underground passage contains a museum of the land used to build the airport and the design and construction of this beautiful facility. Through the mix of art and history that could further hold one back for many minutes more appreciating each exhibit, the Silver Line station is set beyond terminal parking in front of the iconic swept-ceiling facade of Dulles' Ticketing and Arrivals building. This Northern Virginia arm of DC's subway system represents a far-flung but certainly needed option for folks passing through or living in the DMV to access the airport without the need for a vehicle or bus ride down the highway to DC's airport on the edge of its metro. And just like that, we're in the metro. Ready to get in the subway. Effortless. WMATA's system is an interesting combination of routes built into the streets of DC and its suburbs in the latter half of the 20th century. This extension of the Silver Line is one of several projects that have been floated for the system's 21st century expansion to better serve the district, the sprawl built into the lush hills of Virginia where we are, and the Maryland side's continued crawl towards Baltimore. Stations on any line have a reputation for being clean and somewhat uniform in their design, if not specific to certain branches. There's a lot of character here. The route we'll traverse today will see us running through multi-lane highways, as well as below the streets through tunnels. Station building design will span several decades of concepts realized as part of the unique character of DC's rail system. New 7000 series cars are in use on the line when we rode it on this muggy September Sunday. I don't prefer the 7000 series Annunciator's tone to the older car's voice. There's something about the more stately matter-of-factness in the tone of the older announcements that just gives it some warmth and humanity. The new train's voices just sound bored. This elevated curved viaduct allows inbound trains to make a dramatic entrance to the station. We'll be taking the train to Metro Center, where we'll transfer to the Red Line bound for our lunch stop in Friendship Heights on the DC-Maryland border. I've got no luggage as usual today, but if I had any, this late morning train would be an easy conveyance for even a steamer trunk, as it wouldn't be until Tyson's Corner that this train began to see riders joining me in this car toward the rear of the consist.
Move to the center of the car. The next stop is Innovation Center. Step back. Doors open.
Well, that is not going to show up, but it looks a lot better in real life. Hey, personal metro car.
Step back. Doors open.
Oh my gosh, cool. From what I've gathered from other videos, this line's current weakness as an airport connector is the lack of early morning trains arriving prior to the 7 o'clock hour, due to all Silver Line trains headed westbound originating at the eastern terminus of the line in Maryland. This might be a useful line to have running 24 hours, but that isn't the preference of WMATA at the moment. I will say that for the inconvenient operating hours, and the schedule seeing trains spaced somewhat far apart for East Coast headway time considerations, the stations and trains are cleaner and more civilized than a lot of metro systems in America. Which makes sense, given DC's status as the nation's capital, and a place where a lot of foreign travelers, both tourists and professionals alike, are treading through these stations on a daily basis. This system is one of 3 metros in America designed as next-generation, higher-speed, automated heavy rail. Along with BART in the Bay Area and MARTA in Atlanta, these systems are stylish, but not expansive enough to serve as regional rail, except for maybe somewhat in the case of BART in California. I know I don't get out enough, but this is my first time alone on a Washington Metro train. And I like it. It's not going to last, but it's fun. WMATA operates a fare structure that prices each trip depending on your start and endpoint stations. You can purchase fares from machines located at the turnstiles of each station. A smart trip card can be obtained and stored value added for trips. You can add it to your Google Wallet if you want to use your phone for payments. If you end up not having enough on your card to cover your trip when arriving at your endpoint station, there are exit fare machines that allow you to add money or credit funds onto your card when the turnstiles don't permit you to exit due to insufficient funds. But fare evasion is still a hot topic in DC, so some folks have found another way around that, even with the new international-style fare gates. But as a paying rider, you get what I'd consider to be a very adequate way around this metro area. With lots of history to experience, museums, attractions, shopping, and hotels, interconnection with buses around the region is decent, sort of to standards set by Chicago or Los Angeles. Amtrak connections can be had at Union Station, as well as a handful of other stations.
Doors opening on the left. Doors open. This is a Silver Line train to Largo and Moreland. Move to the center of the car. The next stop is Reston Town Center. Step back. Doors open.
With extensions of lines such as the Silver Line taking riders further out of the DC core, the concept of how heavy commuter rail is utilized to Maryland and Virginia residents has had the door left open for those services to perhaps explore regional upgrades to their legacy corridors. WMATA's system was built for volume in its overall concept, but running patterns and de-interlining are some avenues toward improvement for the extra populations it now branches out to serve. Recently, trains began operating as automated lines, but still feature a driver in each consist to ensure safe operation. The Silver Line extension features some longer spacing between stations, with many taking a Chicago's Metra approach to selling the service to commuters on the highway below, with stations placed in the median of the highway. The DMV is an example of a region that isn't adverse to public transit, but is certainly selective of how they utilize it. From the DC streetcar to the defunct DC circulator bus, and the Purple Line Crosstown LRT to come in these early decades, the 21st century sees WMATA, like many American metro systems, struggling to keep up with demand from current riders and further behind the ball on overcoming the convenience of car-based commuting for suburban residents. The design of DC's road infrastructure and the geography of its landscape mean that unique solutions stand out for commuters looking to escape the gridlock that exists on weekdays. But with weekend traffic being light for my day in and around the district, combined with the lack of scheduling early morning outbound trains to the airport, this extension and the empty car portion I got to enjoy are definitely signs of areas for opportunity for WMATA to overcome. Like I said, it's a necessary link for DC's last airport to get access to mass public transit. It just needs longer hours of operation. I'd imagine the funding needed to run the system that often, as adequately as WMATA intends to hold their station image to, is perilous for many to consider, and completely necessary for others. And there's only so far you can go offering buses to suburban commuters that could connect from stations, and the funding that service would require. But it's more typical American transit considerations in this, the heart of governance in America.
Doors opening on the left. This is Greensboro. This is Tyson's.
As well as a number of very densely populated and commercialized centers find Northern Virginia to be.
Doors opening
As
on
we
the
continue
left.
on down the line into Tyson's Corner, we see some very large corporate structures holding up jobs here in Northern Virginia.
Step back. Doors open. Doors opening on the left. Doors open. Step back. Doors open. Doors open. This is a Silver Line train to Largo and Bournemouth. Move to the center of the car. The next stop is McPherson Square. Doors opening on the left. Doors open. This is a Silver Line train to Largo. Step back. Doors open. Doors opening on the left.
Right on target. And that's how you go from arriving in Dulles International Airport to eating lunch at one of the district's best reviewed sandwich places. You know, for when Bub and Pop seem like it'd be too busy. Also coming soon is a long-form video of my trip aboard one of the last of Amtrak's Capital Limited trains. Please give a like and subscribe for these and other rides to come. Thanks, I'll see you on the next one.
Have all major credit cards, cash, Apple Pay, Google Pay, and all bills are always greatly appreciated. The dining car will be closed for our coach and passengers